You're watching This Week in Fish and Wildlife.
Thursday morning, time once again for This Week in Fish and Wildlife. We're at Region 3 headquarters. Joining us this morning, Beka Greenall. Beka, there is so much stuff behind us. The cool thing about this, this is available to teachers out there. Let's talk about these trunks, as you call them, the teacher trunks. Tell me about that.
Yeah, definitely. So Fish, Wildlife, and Park we get requests all the time for somebody to go out to a school and give an education presentation, but we're pretty much at capacity. So we wanted teachers to know that they also can check out these trunks and have them for a few weeks at a time, and they have all sorts of different animal specimens in them, and they've got, lesson activities, learning outcomes, background information. Really, there should be everything for an entire wildlife lesson in one of these trunks.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by it. I've seen the labels on the front of them. It says skulls and wolves and ungulates and boat. I mean, you've got all kinds of different categories within things that are pertinent to fish, wildlife, and parks. That's got to be pretty exciting for a teacher to be able to do that. You could make it very specific or very general depending on what your curriculum is.
Yeah, definitely. So our goal is to make it easier for educators. So I come from an education background, and I know that something like this would be really useful for me to not have to really not worry about it so much if I wasn't an expert, because it comes with background info, but also, as you learn more about these species, you can sort of get creative and make it whatever you want it to be to teach your students.
All right, so I'm a teacher, I'm interested in doing, how does that work? What do I get when I get the trunk? Let's say I've got the skull trunk. What do I get with something like that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So all of our trunks have different inventories, and they are pretty varied in what they can do. So for the skull trunk, for example, we have lots of different species skulls, and then we have an activity guide that teachers can use to teach students about dentition and how that can tell you about wildlife, if it's predator or prey, and just all these other aspects of a skull and how useful that is. And then that trunk has skulls, it has like rulers and guides to help you, really just let students explore these animals hands-on.
To me, as a teacher for this, I'm looking at this going, wow, I could see a wide scope. I mean, I could see little kids being really interested in this because it's very hands-on, but I could see you getting very deeper with middle school and even some high school students, depending on what your curriculum plan is. It's that varied? Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah. So we try and make it flexible for all ages, and sometimes we have education groups that we go to where we have kids as young as 3 and up to seniors in high school. And so, yeah, you have to adapt the lessons for the age group, but some of these would be even appropriate for undergraduates in college. It just, it depends how much you want to get into it. Like, we have a Keystone Species activity that I did with middle schoolers, and that was pretty fun, but you could make it a lot more complex and be teaching undergrads the same principles.
That's fantastic. Okay, so how does this work? How much do I have to pay? I mean, what does it cost me to be a participant in this?
Yeah, it's totally free, which is awesome. So, we just want these to be available for educators, and we don't want cost to be something that prohibits an educator from using all of these awesome things. And a lot of these things are pretty hard to get your hands on, and so, yeah, we just offer them to be checked out for a few weeks at a time, and it's as simple as just calling our office and asking if you can check one out, and if it's available, you can get it. Well, and I just think it's cool too, because as we were setting up these trunks, I was like, look how much awesome stuff we have in Montana. It's not all the time that we take all the trunks out at once, and this actually is about half of what we have.
Wow.
But just looking at all these different specimens and being like, we have so much cool biodiversity here in Montana. And it's really important for students to learn about this biodiversity, one, so they can appreciate it, and two, when you learn about something, you're more likely to, want to conserve it, for future generations. So, yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's perfect. Again, Beka Greenall joining us this morning, and that is This Week in Fish and Wildlife.
You've been watching This Week in Fish and Wildlife.